the Third Reich faction. That's the Imperium's going to turn to the Third Reich now. But
He posted a picture on Twitter with Sean Dean. He's got his castle. It says justice on it. And then somebody says Hook is some fucking girl says on Twitter, Hook is what? Stokely, I hate your ball ass so much. And then Big Stoke on Twitter goes, wow, Hook will pay for his crimes. It was confirmed that there was a forearm fracture which required a cast. I am distraught. I rolled dice with my left hand, so I'm please don't make me sue this company, Tony Khan. Please, you know that a portrait of your father that's hanging in your office? Well, once I own this company, I'm replacing it with a big ass photo of James Brown. Yep. Every time you see the Godfather of Soul sweating in drug-fueled rage at the Apollo, you're gonna think of me. Sounds pretty miserable, bro. Do the right thing. Punish this little bastard Hook and write me a fat check. By the way, here's a photo of me with my best friend Al Sharpton. It means absolutely nothing, by the way. Blushing face. But somebody tweeted, he tweeted, Hook is a piece of shit, and then somebody tweeted this. Some woman, I dated a 5'8" guy who taunt every jack. Oh wait, I dated a 5'8" guy who taunt every jacked. 6'3" bro he met until they pulled their first back to beat him up. Whereupon my ex would go, hey, come on. I'm a little guy. I'm just a little guy. No, it's just also my birthday. I'm a birthday boy. It somehow always worked. And then Stokely just quote tweets it. Fuck you.
Tony about, well, who the fuck's in the background? It's Hook. It's fucking Hook. And then he's getting twerked on by some fucking broad. My t-shirt money is now in the ass crack of some fucking stripper. So thanks.
Mic up and mic up. It's Saturday, guys. You know what that means. It is time for your second dose of the Pro Wrestling Injection right here on the Pro Wrestling Injection YouTube and Twitch. Today is the AEW Full Gear pre-show. As we always do, we do these pre-shows whenever there's a pay-per-view coming up. I am the Outlaw of Long Island, Zach. I'm here joined by the Goon Christian. Mike is not here because he fucked up, forgot how quickly Full Gear was coming up, so he's not here. So today we're going to be running down the card for Full Gear, getting our predictions in. We have our tiebreaker predictions as well, just in case we all pick the same thing. But without further ado, let's just kick off with these 0-hour matches. I guess I'll kick that to you.
Say, just before we get into the show here, just want to acknowledge the big thing that happened last night. I just saw it, I remembered it. On the Ring of Honor tapings last night, Ronda Rousey debuted. She tagged with Marina Shafir to wrestle Athena and Billy Starks. They just did that match 2 days ago on an indie show at Wrestling Revolver. So they basically did the same match. Ronda is not signed by AEW or Ring of Honor. She's working on a handshake deal. It's exactly what I expected. As soon as I heard that she was there, I'm like, if she's debuting on a Ring of Honor show, then she's probably not signed. They're not planning on signing her. They're working her with a handshake deal as a favor for Marina while she's hitting some of the indie circuits while she's out of WWE. So I don't see any problem with it if it's just a handshake thing. So I thought it was pretty cool. But
never in my life would I have had Ronda Rousey appearing at indie shows in ROH on my 2023 Pro Wrestling bingo card. I would have never had that.
Yep. But anyway, jumping over to the 0 hour here, we have 3 matches slated for the 0 hour. First off, we're going to talk about probably the main 0 hour. I don't know if this is going to go on first or last, probably first to give them more time. But we have the Ring of Honor Tag Team title match between Samoa Joe and MJF versus the Guns. And Samoa Joe became MJF's partner as expected last night on Rampage. So now MJF does have to give Joe a title shot, but this is going to be they're going to be defending the titles against the Guns. So this is actually very excited to see this match. It'll be just going to be pretty fun. I'm going with MJF and Samoa Joe to retain the titles because then it just helps the story with him and Joe wanting another title match and MJF trying to keep it until Adam gets back, because I don't think he's losing those titles to anybody but the Kingdom. So yeah, I'm going with MJF and Samoa Joe.
How close are we to the next Ring of Honor pay-per-view?
I believe it's next month.
Because that kind of put the determining of this match in my mind. Because I'm gonna go with the Guns, because I don't think there is a point.
Final battle's on December 15th.
December 15th. Okay, so a month from now.
And MJF's on the poster.
MJF is on the poster?
And Samoa Joe and MJF are both on the poster. But that was before he lost. Before he vacated the title, but MJF is still on the poster.
Okay.
But also this can change a lot, because the Gates of Agony are still on the poster, and I don't know if they're going to be back from Japan by the time this show happens. So
Chris in our chat mentioned Skye Blue's getting a new theme tonight. So
yeah.
that
it was overdue. She had the same shit since before she even got signed.
But so like I know that MJF is on the poster, but I even though yes MJF has this face type character now, I don't see him going into that ROH pay-per-view.
I actually do a lot, because they're struggling to sell tickets for that show, and that's a big name to put on that show. MJF is a draw, and he's more of a draw than the Guns are. So that's where I come from when seeing this.
I get that. For me, I can see the Guns pulling this off, because also I think the Guns and also like Bullet Club Gold might want, I think, for them to get taken a bit more seriously in this scenario.
Well, I don't think they're done.
Well, no, I'm not saying to be done, but to at least have a leg up with an actual championship title that they take from MJF.
They could do that, but business-wise, would you want to take MJF off a card that's struggling right now?
Who's to say that the rematch can't happen there?
It could, but I don't know. Him and Joe having the titles and Joe dangling it in front of his face, I think is a more probably.
I get that, but I can see the Guns going over here.
We'll see. Because if this was later on, maybe, but I think it's just a little too early. Next up for the 0 Hour, we got a Ring of Honor World Championship match between Eddie Kingston and Jay Lethal. This has been built up for a little bit now on Ring of Honor. I don't think this is going to be the last time we see this match. I fully believe we're going to get this again at Final Battle. So I'm going with Eddie Kingston here.
Oh, same.
Because I don't think he's going to lose his World Championship.
We've got to read off of Mike. Because Mike, you made your predictions so fucking ass backwards on how to tell. I'm assuming you picked MJF and Samoa Joe. I'm guessing if you can read his cryptic prediction a lot better than I can.
MJF and Samoa Joe. That's what he said.
Well, no, because I hate how it's like with the greater or less than symbol.
Well, greater than. I mean, if it's
over,
greater than,
yeah, I know, but it's still just like you could have just put.
I mean, it's not that hard to read.
I know, but like with my dumb brain, you could have just put everyone you picked going down.
What's it called? Eddie Kingston. He's not losing that title on a pre-show. There's no way. So I believe, he has Eddie as well. So I think that's a unanimous decision right there. Next up, which this is, in my opinion, the match I'm excited for the most on the 0 Hour. This was made last night on Collision. We have Claudio Castagnoli versus Buddy Matthews in just a grudge match, and this is a great time matchup here. This is a very appetizing matchup. I'm very excited for this. These are two guys who, just found themselves on the card, and they're probably just going to give a bang-up performance on the 0 Hour. Buddy's a guy I've always wanted to see more in AEW in singles matches, and I believe that Buddy Matthews is one of the most underrated wrestlers in the world. I think that guy, if he got a little bit more time and a little bit more of a stage, that guy could be in the conversation for one of the best.
Oh, 100%.
but he's extremely good. Um, but this one is actually kind of hard to call because I don't well this storyline with the House of Black and uh the House of Black and Blackpool Combat Club is still kind of going. And there's still there probably going to be some sort of layers to it during the Continental Classic tournament.
Mm-hmm.
But here, I'm probably I'm probably gonna go with Claudio
Okay.
because he's just a bigger of a name right now. And I think it's gonna extend anyway. Buddy's probably he's not a fall guy in any sense of the word for the House of Black, but out of him, Brody, and Malachi, he's the one that's probably gonna lose first. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm going with Claudio here, but I would love to see a Buddy Matthews victory because
Oh
I
yeah.
didn't expect him to beat Wheeler last night either.
I I'm going with Buddy Matthews because like I'm going with kind of agreeing with Mike on this one that like the House of Black need more wins under their belt. I think like even like I'm like now realizing with the Fatal 4-Way tag match, it's a ladder match. I'm still trying to think now. I might change my prediction. I might not. But yeah. So both me and Mike did pick Buddy on this one. I think just for the
Okay.
same reasons of House
Um,
of Black needs more wins.
all right, so that brings us to our main card, and as you just mentioned, I guess we'll start with this one. We have the Fatal 4-Way Tag Team uh ladder match for the AEW World Tag Team Championships. We have LFI, Roosh and Dralistico, FTR, the Kings of the Black Throne, Malachi Black and Brody King, and Ricky Starks and Big Bill. This one's kind of harder to call because I could actually see any of these teams winning here.
Mhm.
I think all of them have a chance. I think the lowest probable chance is LFI. The other three I think have a good shot. But for me, I don't think they've done everything they needed to do, and I don't know uh, if they want to do this yet. But FTR, I mean, they lost it due to injury. I could see them getting it back. Hey, Kings of the Black Throne, uh, I could see them getting it, but I mean, you just had the trio championships on the
Yeah.
House of Blacks, put Malachi and Brody right back into tag stuff. But then you got Big Bill and Ricky Starks, who have actually been doing pretty good stuff, and they really haven't had that long of a reign yet. So I'm going to be going with Ricky and Big Bill to retain, and I think they have a lot more to do with those titles. I think if they lost them, it would be okay. But yeah, I think they still have a long way to go with those titles. Not a long way to go, but at least one more pay-per-view
Mhm.
worth of them winning.
Yeah.
And there's not really a lot of babyface tag teams right now besides FTR that really can contend for the tag titles right now because the Bucks just turned heel. Um, I do see. Um, I mean, it's kind of a prediction spoiler for later, but I do see the Jericho and Kenny Omega getting a tag team title shot
Mhm.
eventually.
Yeah. I
So I'm
think
going with Ricky and Big Bill.
I that's a clean sweep on this one, but I was thinking about this. I was saying like this match, whoever wins outside of maybe LFI is a clear shot if the Bucks are winning. That's being honest. Like if FTR wins, it
I
should be
I
a
don't
little
I don't
more
actually.
obvious, depending on the placement on the card.
Well, if FTR win, I mean I still think everything's in play. I don't think they're gonna break up Omega and Jericho at all. Because they have something. They just put out merch for them. It's like they're not gonna make merch and they're just fucking abandoning it right now. Um,
True.
and it's very it's and plus the Don Callis family storyline still going.
Yeah.
Um, uh, so yeah, it's like I think any they could go up there with any team, but I think the Bucks will be involved with whoever wins this match as well.
Okay.
So, but anyway,
Yeah. But it's a
next
clean
up,
sweep though.
yep. Next up, we have the TBS Championship match, three-way between Skye Blue, Julia Hart, and Chris Statlander. This is actually one I actually went back and forth with a lot. Between two women here, I don't think Skye Blue is winning in her first championship title match in a pay-per-view. Um, but I do see her turning heel tonight. I do see that happening. And if that's after the match or during the match, that's kind of where I struggle because if it's during the match, I could really see her. I really do think it's not out of the realm of possibilities and somewhat likely that she could cost Statlander the title and like throw the match for Julia, like with the Mists or something, whatever.
Yeah.
And I do think Julia is a. I mean, Julia's improved. Do I think she's ready for the TBS title yet? I don't think so. But because Statlander is so good and she's elevating everybody she's in the ring with right now.
Mhm.
But I think that I'm going with Statlander to retain just to be safe. But I'm going with Statlander because I think they could do the turn afterwards anyway. Because even if Statlander, they could keep this going as well. Because Skye Blue has never gotten a singles TBS title match with Statlander, which is where we thought they were going for a little bit. And you could get Willow involved. I think you could probably get some weeks of TV with Willow and Statlander and tag matches with Julia and Skye. So I'm going with Statlander here, but I would not be surprised if Julia Hart won this match.
As for me being the risk taker that I am, I'm gonna go with Julia Hart on this one. I think like both Statlander and Julia are safe options. I'm picking Julia just for the fact of which that I think Skye is turning heel tonight and is gonna join Julia within the House of Black type thing. That's just what I'm seeing. I could see this going down as, and I hate to even think of this idea. I'm not even. I don't want to put it out in the ether, but it would make. But I'd be stupid, and I hate leaving people on cliffhangers. But a finger poke of doom to.
No, I don't.
I
They
know.
don't
I'm saying I don't
do
want to
that.
put that on the out in the ether, but with
Yeah, it's fine.
like a thing like that, just like have Skye Blue lay down, take the pin.
Yeah,
type
she's
deal.
not gonna lay down. I could see her throwing it or like misting misting Statlander for Julia and
Mm.
Julia distracting the referee and then rolling out of the ring for her or
Well,
something like
it's a
that.
triple threat,
But
so there's no DQ, so we don't have to worry
yeah,
about
well
that.
it's like I don't think there's gonna be any type of stuff like that.
Okay.
But anyway, next up we were talking
Oh,
about it
and
earlier.
Mike picks Statlander as well.
Yep. Uh, we're the next up we have a tag match between the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega and Chris Jericho. We already kind of gave our predictions for this one,
Yeah.
but I'm going with Kenny Omega and Chris Jericho because I do not see them breaking them up at all yet. The Don Callis family storyline is still going. They just made merch for these guys. There's kind of no reason to break up Omega and Jericho. Like even if this when the storyline's over in a couple years, if you want to use them as a team again, I mean, there's no reason for them to break up. And if the and with Kenny and Jericho beating the Young Bucks, it's just gonna set them over the edge and make them even more insecure. And I could see them even maybe not joining the Don Callis family, but working not working against the Don Callis family, but working against Kenny.
Yeah.
And the Young Bucks are absolutely going full heel tonight.
100%. Like
And I think this is gonna set them over the edge.
you could definitely tell, like mentioning their insecurities, because they were doing stuff that they were kind of doing in early AEW when they would accidentally hit each other with their moves, stuff like that, and like it would yeah. Like I think them being insecure with this loss is going to be clear. I did pick Kenny and Jericho because, as you mentioned, there's no point in breaking them up. I would have loved for this story to be squashed, but it's going to be interesting. I think Jericho's definitely going to drag Kenny down within this story, and he's being a Don Callis figure, and it's gonna be something. And Mike also picked Kenny and Jericho to go over, but leading in to our next match, we have the AEW Women's World Championship with Hikaru Shida taking on Timeless Tony Storm. I think
Yep.
this is a very obvious
I don't think this is obvious at all.
Really?
To be honest, because I kind of gave the reason on Wednesday, but Sheeta is the three-time champion. Tony, if she wins, she would be the second ever three-time champion, women's champion. But Sheeta just won it back. Um, However, Tony Storm is so over right now; it's inexcusable. And it's it's come to a point where I could have seen them doing this match and having Sheeta retain,
Mm-hmm.
but Tony is probably the most over woman in the company, probably one of the most over characters in the company. Um, and I do think that at this point in time, Tony's so over that she does not need a title, and she doesn't need it. But there's two avenues that I think that is probably going to happen here. Number one is that Mariah May gets involved, costs Sheeta the title, helps Tony win, and Tony gets the title back,
Or
so they
vice
could put the
versa.
title, so they could put the title on Tony and their most over woman. The other one is I could see Mariah May accidentally costing Tony Storm the title by trying to help her, and that kicks off the storyline where Mariah has to prove herself to Tony, and Tony's gonna end up teaching her old whatever, and Mariah's going to be put through a lot of shit, so she could get on good graces with Tony. She's trying to prove herself to Tony. So I can see them going either way because that story with Mariah and Tony does not need a title. Does not. It
Oh yeah, it
wouldn't
does
even be.
not
It
at
wouldn't. It
all.
wouldn't be for a title. Tony wouldn't have to be the champion for that. So I think I think Sheeta and Tony here. I think it's a complete 50-50 on how they want to go here because Tony is so over that you could do stories within Tony and her universe. You could do so people have been wanting more television time for the women. So you have the TBS title stuff, you have the world title stuff, and then you have Tony stuff. So it'd be three things, instead of just two, because then if Sheeta gets pushed out of the title picture. So I think Sheeta is something that is someone that you really shouldn't doubt winning this match. But I do think that they're gonna put the belt back on Tony Storm just because of the magnitude of how popular she is right now. Even though in my opinion, I think I to be honest, I think the smarter thing would be to keep the title on Sheeta
Yeah.
because then you could do more with Tony. But she's so popular and she's so over right now that I don't know if they're gonna. I don't think they're gonna ignore that right now, and I think they just put the title back on her because they took the title off Sheeta before like that anyway, and you could keep the title on Tony until the eventual Jamie Hayter return, or potentially Mercedes Moné debut. Thunder Rose is coming back soon. So she has a list of challenges.
Oh
So
yeah, she does.
I'm going with Tony, but Sheeta is literally right there.
I agree with you full force. I think this is another clean sweep for for a prediction. I'm going with Tony, and so did Mike. I think it's wise with how hot she is to put the title on her. I think the vignettes for it could be even funnier. I definitely see Mariah May getting involved in this and helping Tony win and then go from there.
Yeah. So, next up, we have the international championship match between Jon Moxley and Orange Cassidy. This is number 2.
This is a harder one to predict.
This is actually a harder one to predict too, because this could literally go either way. Obviously, the main event of All Out was Jon Moxley and Orange Cassidy for the international title. Orange was never supposed to win this title back. Mox ended up getting hurt at Arthur Ashe. So it kind of threw the booking of the international title in disarray. He also with Phoenix getting hurt. So this is like nobody's fault. I mean, they had to pivot somehow.
Yeah.
Because they had to deal with 2 big injuries. But however, the story here is that Orange Cassidy, he feels like he needs to beat Jon, and Moxley is basically, even in the match they had on Wednesday, he no-sold his finish. So it's like it's going to take something within Orange very, 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 very much different Orange Cassidy to beat John Moxley
Yeah.
because Orange looked completely dejected after the match on Wednesday. So I think this is a harder one to call. They could go two ways. They can continue with this Orange Cassidy run again, or they could have Moxley win the title, and then Orange goes into the spiral. He's dejected. He feels incomplete because they already teased that story where he feels incomplete without the international title. And then with Mox and stuff, they can move him away from Orange, and he could basically do what he was supposed to be doing with the international title, like if he didn't get hurt. There's also the thing that I don't think a lot of people are talking about is that John Moxley is having a match at Wrestle Kingdom against Will Ospreay and David Finlay for a New Japan title. So, and it's not going to be for the international title, but I think there's a chance that the international title somehow plays a role into that matchup. So I'm going with Moxley here to beat Orange Cassidy. Obviously, we're gonna give our predictions for this other thing later, but Moxley with the international title, that opens up a large amount of possibilities, literally internationally, that Orange really doesn't have right now. So I'm going with Mox, and I think they're just gonna go back to what they were actually gonna do.
Yeah.
And I think I think this is actually a good opportunity to kick off a story with Orange Cassidy, where you could lean into him not being a heel, but being more aggressive or more of a dejected or a different kind of Orange than we've seen before.
You know what? I'm actually you've convinced me on this one. I'm gonna change my pick for this one. I had Orange Cassidy originally, but then you mentioned that, especially with I'm not sure we could predict the signing. I think it's everyone knows it by now that it's Will Ospreay, but
Yeah. So next up, who did Mike have?
he had Orange Cassidy.
So next up, before we get into the big time matches here, we're getting a new big time signing tonight, and it's been speculated between a lot of people who it's going to be, but it's really come down to two names. I mean, one was eliminated last night with the Ronda Rousey deal, but it's come down to two names, and those two names are Mercedes Moné and Will Ospreay. Number one, there's a case for both of them. Will Ospreay has been given the permission by New Japan Pro Wrestling to seek contracts and speak with other promotions and seek and not get out of his contract, but it's what I said back on Wednesday. He's probably going to end up with the Carl Anderson deal. He's going to get signed by another promotion, but would still fulfill his dates left with New Japan, just like how Carl Anderson did with WWE. So there's that, and there's the point that Ospreay probably, in my opinion, would be best suited for AEW because he could still work New Japan. He could still work the Indies. He could still go and work TNA and Rev Pro. He would not be able to have that opportunity in WWE. That's just something they don't do. The only reason Carl Anderson did it because he was contractually obligated to do so. And Ospreay obviously loves New Japan. He loves Rev Pro. He loves the British Indies. He wants to be the best. And I really do see Tony Khan going full force, paying top dollar for this guy. Number two, there's Mercedes Moné. Mercedes Moné showed up and was shown at Wembley at All In. So there was a tease for that already. She's definitely going to be coming in some way. Her deal with Bushiroad, she signed that January 1st last year. So I don't know if that's up then because she would still have Stardom and New Japan dates. But
it
since
could be
she got hurt,
but it could be like with Will pursuing things outside.
Well, there's that, but I don't know if they delayed her contract because of the injury time, which is a thing they could do. And there's also the fact that the teasing that they've done about this, a well-respected wrestler, obviously that suits both Osprey and
There's
Mercedes.
also one other person who also
I will,
made.
well, I will say this, but Mercedes as well. She has never shown up on AEW in a wrestling role or any. She was shown quickly at All In
Mhm.
twice. That's all she's done. Osprey has had matches and angles and promos. He's done a lot in AEW
Yeah.
already. So with this type of announcement, I can see them seeing it be for a new person like Mercedes. But it's literally in between the two of them. And with the reports that come out by trusted people like Andrew Zarian, who's heard that it is Osprey. I mean, it could clearly be. I think Mercedes is coming in regardless. Um, if that be from one match or whatever, we'll see. But if it's up to me, I do think it's probably going to be Will Ospreay tonight, and I hope it is because he's literally probably the best wrestler in the world right now.
Now, do you want to hear the dark horse option that's available? Someone who like also made their wrestling return over the past few days in Los Angeles. That's Chris Hero. He made his wrestling return on the Indies.
That would
He's
be
a dark horse option.
that would be a major letdown for that type of announcement.
Well, he is well respected within the
He that,
AEW community.
that's the thing though. But how many people know about him? I mean, I know
If
AEW
it's
fans are smarter, and know more, but
I know
when you put a Mercedes, a Osprey, and then a Hero, there's an odd man out.
I could see that, but like once again, he's the dark
And
horse option going.
Hero, he also tweeted out a picture of his boots in the ring a couple minutes ago. So I don't know what the fuck that means if he's retiring. He tweeted that out. But I mean he's good, but that's not Will Ospreay or Mercedes Moné. And I think that's what people are expecting. So, I mean, they're cool, I guess, but that wouldn't be something that people would really all get all excited about. I think the reaction to that would be more negative than positive.
Well, online it would be more negative. I think there in person would be more positive.
I don't think so anyway, because they're in LA and they're expecting to see either Will Ospreay or Mercedes Moné. A lot of listen, a lot of
I see what you're saying.
there's gonna be a lot of people at that show. Probably about less than a fraction of those guys are probably PWG regulars from back in the day.
Mhm.
So
Said I just have
it's
that
just
as a
it's
dark
just a reality.
horse.
Yeah, I can listen. I understand that, but it's just the reality of the situation. It's the same shit that happened with Christian when he came in. When they were hyping up a new big time announcement, people thought at the time it was going to be like CM Punk or I remember some people, oh my god, it's fucking Brock Lesnar. No, and then it turned out to be Christian, which ended up being probably one of the greatest signings this company's ever had.
Yeah.
But at the time, a lot of people were disappointed. So we'll see. I do think it's either between Osprey and Moné. So we'll see.
In other news, Hulk Hogan's son just got arrested for DUI. Cool.
That's not important. Anyway, next up, we have the Texas Death Match between Hangman Page and Swerve Strickland. This has been a great feud going into this show. At an indie show at Wrestling Revolver, the same one that Ronda was at. Hangman showed up and attacked Swerve. So they add a little bit of layer. I love when that happens, when you get out, you go on Twitter and you see, oh my god, this guy just showed up at a random indie show and attacked somebody, furthering a story. I think that's really cool.
Mm-hmm.
But this is a highly contested match. This is not going to be the last match between these two. I fully expect either a steel cage match or something else.
Yeah.
Probably at Winter is Coming, or potentially World's End, with these two to blow off the feud. But I am thinking, since it's a Texas death match, and I think due to Swerve getting the one up on him on the regular match, I do see Hangman winning this match. I don't think it's going to be complete 50-50 booking, but I don't see Swerve sweeping the entire feud. So I'm going Hangman here because I do think eventually Swerve is going to win the feud and
Yeah.
probably be set up for title contention. Because I could really do see him and MJF feuding later down the line.
Well, here's also a thing to keep in mind too. Every Texas Death Match that Hangman's been involved in, he has not lost. He's undefeated in Texas Death.
Which makes sense because they do that a lot with, I mean, obviously Darby Allin in the coffin match. They had uh I forgot what the other one was. But anyway,
Body bag.
well, I'm not talking about Darby Allin. I'm talking about somebody else. Hangman, uh, it feels like he doesn't need to beat Swerve, but he feels like he needs a win, like a big win. But just because this is not over, I think Hangman will get his due comeuppance here, and I Swerve, because I mean, obviously this is not over. Swerve's not gonna have the Gates of Agony, for a couple weeks because they're going to Japan for World Tag League.
Mm-hmm.
I'll have Brian Cage. So I'm not sure if he's gonna call on more help or it's just gonna be him and Nana. But yeah, I'm going with Hangman here because I do believe this isn't done at all.
And I believe Mike picked Hangman as well. Double checking, and he did. Okay.
Next up, we have the trios match between Christian Cage, Luchasaurus, and Nick Wayne versus Adam Copeland, Darby Allin, and Sting.
This one I'm tossed on.
This one, I think I'm pretty positive where I stand on this one, just due to what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Tony has been wanting to give Sting this big grand retirement tour, and which he is in. We're in the midst of it right now.
Yeah.
And I don't see Sting losing very often, if not at all. Sting actually undefeated in AEW, believe it or not. And it's a thing where they can actually play on that if they want. Sting, Sting in AEW. I'm looking at the roster. He's 23-0.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think they're gonna beat him now in a trios match. I mean, it would be the best person to do would be Christian, but even if they do lose, I don't think Sting's gonna get pinned. This is Adam Copeland's first pay-per-view for AEW. It's his first match. I don't think he's gonna lose his first pay-per-view match, and I think this just completely sets up. I mean, because this ain't over either. Christian and Copeland are still gonna feud. Darby's not gonna be done with Nick Wayne. And obviously, if Darby's not done with somebody, neither is Sting. So I don't think any of this is over yet.
Yeah.
I think Nick Wayne probably takes the pin. And I'm going with Adam Copeland, Darby, and Sting.
I think that is a clean sweep as well. I see this as it's Adam's first pay-per-view within AEW. If he does not come out on top, like it would feel kind of like not. I would understand it, but I think him coming out on top in his first pay-per-view and probably what is going to be the co-main event, I would assume. Or even like a slowdown, like a cool down match. But yeah, I just see Adam, Darby, and Sting.
All right, so next up,
so
we have
Mike.
we have the main event for the AEW World Championship between Switchblade, Jay White, and MJF. So this here, obviously the contractual stuff with MJF, and did he resign? Did he not? I'm fully in the belief in that camp that he did sign an extension, and there's no possible way they would have put the title on him if he didn't. Jay stole the belt months ago, and that's the one thing in storylines in wrestling that I always see as kind of ending up being predictable, where the guy who steals the belt never wins. They did this before in AEW with Brody Lee, when he stole Mox's belt, back during the pandemic at Double or Nothing and stuff like that. And he lost as well. But I don't see them putting the title on Jay here. I'm going with MJF. I don't think MJF's losing this title until next year, since I don't think he's leaving, and obviously they want to play that up at World's End. But Jay, he will be the AEW World Champion. If that's from a year from now or 2 years from now, he will be the AEW champion. This is not fans or but he will be the top heel in the promotion in due time. That's just that's who he is. That's how it is. That's how he's gonna be. That's how he was in New Japan. That's how great Jay White is. But that's the thing about this match. A lot of people have been harping on the devil stuff and paying close attention, trying to figure out who the devil is and all that stuff, who the attackers are. But people have really lost sight of how great this match is going to be. This is a first time meeting between arguably the two best heels in the world, in wrestling right now.
Definitely.
Obviously, MJF's not a heel right now, but two of the best. If you showed this match to somebody a year ago, this would have been the battle of the biggest heels in the business, barring Roman Reigns. So, my opinion, it was always either between MJF and Jay White. Jay was number one, MJF was number two. MJF was number one, Jay was just number two.
Just
That's
to
I always seen these guys.
just to answer a question real quick in the chat, from Andrew Fogel asking, will we see the show here? No, I care about the integrity of this channel. I care about the respect that I built on it. I will not be streaming the show. There are other alternative means of watching it. You can find them virtually anywhere.
Buy the show. Get your money. I'm not your funny.
But I think everyone here has picked MJF. For just in case there
just saying. Lastly, I think there's going to be a part in this match where the devil shows up. Maybe I think it's more likely after the match, but there is a chance that the devil shows up during the match, helping MJF. So I believe tonight we're gonna get the devil in, like, not backstage for the first time,
but like
in
face
the ring,
to face with
in the ring in front of the crowd.
So
at least
this does lead into the bonus questions that I have. Okay, so I guess let's just go with does the devil get revealed tonight?
Yes.
Okay, you have a yes. I say yes as well. Mike says no for the reasons he mentioned.
Yeah,
on
there's
Wednesday.
valid reason for them not to do it tonight, but I do think it will happen. So just due to how they built it.
And now for this one, this is like my favorite one. Shits and giggles. Under, over 5 minutes for blood in the Texas death.
Over.
Will you say over? I think. Mike says over as well. I will go under, just to be opposite, and to guarantee.
Is there one on the reveal?
Is there? Yeah, yes. That's what I put down.
No. I'm talking about the free agent signing.
No, but if I don't think Mike's currently
we don't
available.
need to do it. Yeah.
Okay, so you have the over. I will go the under. And Mike went over. Yeah, no, I think because the signing is a bit obvious with Andrew Zarian posting the stuff online.
Maybe, yeah.
Also, I think either it's your end or my end that your connection is shoddy.
Well,
I'm not sure.
We're done anyway.
Yeah. But guys, we appreciate you all for watching. Thank you all for tuning in. I'm going to read down just Chris's predictions because he put them in the chat as he was going along with us up until the Orange Cassidy stuff. He had predicted Buddy Matthews to win. He predicts the Kings of the Black Throne to go over, which is a very fair pick to go with. He thinks Julia Hart wins with the help of Skye Blue. Hikaru Shida retains. And Orange Cassidy retains. We will see, guys. Don't forget, there will be the post-show immediately following the pay-per-view and stuff like that. If you guys want to subscribe and tune back in for that, feel free to. We're not going to judge if you don't. And yeah, so guys, we will see you in 5 hours. Goodbye.